Usually when we do a deep dive into historical texts or regional folklore, we're dissecting the material from a completely safe distance.
Right, like a purely analytical
Yeah,
perspective.
exactly. It's like standing in a museum. You look at the ancient, cursed artifact behind this thick pane of tempered glass.
You read the little plaque.
Yeah, you read the plaque, you analyze the cultural context, and then you just go home to your perfectly normal, well-lit life.
It belongs to the past. It's safely locked away in a display case. We like things to be historical like that. We like them to be finished because finished means harmless.
But today, we are doing a very different kind of deep dive. For this one, I actually want you, the listener, to go ahead and turn down the lights.
Well, unless you're driving.
Right. Obviously, keep your eyes on the road if you're in the car. But if you're at home, pull up a chair. Because we are venturing straight into the territory of a campfire thriller today.
Oh, absolutely. This one is specifically tailored for those of you who really love a good scare.
We are looking at a deeply unsettling piece of Appalachian folklore from a text called The Curse of Grinning Jack.
Yeah, it's a heavy one.
Our mission here is to analyze this terrifying intersection of local mountain legend, the psychological horror of losing your own identity, and the deadly consequences of a simple, polite human reflex.
The sheer longevity of this narrative is really what demands our attention. Because, most urban legends fade away, right?
Yeah, they get debunked by a quick internet search.
Exactly, or they just lose their cultural relevance. But this specific warning has survived in the Appalachian Mountains for over 200 years.
Wow. 2 centuries.
Yeah, and it operates on a premise that violates everything we expect from a monster story. We're conditioned to fear entities that are, physically predatory.
The ones that hunt you down and break down your door.
Right, the ones that overpower you by brute force. But this entity doesn't hunt you at all. It simply waits for you to invite it in through a completely mundane, everyday social interaction.
So let's set the scene, because the atmosphere is everything for understanding how this curse actually works.
Oh, the setting is crucial here.
Picture the small, isolated mining town of Black Hollow, West Virginia. It's late October, the air is freezing, and the population is sitting at fewer than 900 residents.
A tiny community.
Very tiny. Now, out-of-towners and weekend tourists look at Black Hollow, and they just see this rustic, scenic hiking spot.
But the locals know better.
Exactly. The locals know the unwritten rules. And the biggest, most immutable rule is that after sunset, the Raven Ridge Trail is strictly off-limits.
And the tension between the official narrative and the local truth is just incredibly stark in the text.
Yeah, the local sheriff actually goes on the record claiming that the missing people in the area simply wander off the trail.
Right, that they get disoriented in the dark and just fall off the steep ravines.
It's a rational, logistical explanation. The mountain is treacherous.
But the locals reject that completely. As one older woman at the town diner whispers in our source text, the mountain doesn't take people. Jack does.
Which brings us to the subjects of our text. This group of people who are essentially avatars for modern hubris.
Oh, absolutely. They represent everything the locals warn against.
We have this 24-year-old documentary filmmaker named Ethan Brooks. Ethan is driven by this very modern, cynical desire. He figures ghost stories mean views, and views mean money.
So he completely ignores the 200-year-old warning.
Right. He brings his friends, Sarah, Mike, and Lucas, straight into the woods at night. They are loaded up with cameras, drones, and high beams.
It is the ultimate display of modern arrogance. They assume their technology makes them invincible. A drone camera feels like a shield against the unknown,
But the mountain doesn't care about drones.
Not at all. The text describes a terrifying atmospheric shift that happens exactly half an hour into their hike. It systematically strips away that false sense of security.
How so?
It's described so vividly. The wind doesn't just calm down, it dies instantly. Yeah. And the shifting, towering shadows among the trees seem to physically freeze in place. And most unnervingly, the insects go entirely, abruptly silent.
That detail really gets under my skin. Just that sudden, complete silence.
It's unnatural.
It makes me think of stepping into a sensory deprivation tank. In that total, dead silence, your brain starts desperately searching for input.
Right, it starts playing tricks on you.
Yeah, generating auditory hallucinations just to fill the agonizing void. Only, in the shifting shadows of Raven Ridge, your brain doesn't have to invent anything.
Because the forest provides the input for you.
Exactly. That sudden, oppressive silence isn't empty. It's the sound of an apex predator holding its breath.
Because in that suffocating quiet, Mike sweeps his heavy flashlight into the dense tree line. and the beam catches someone standing directly in their path.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. It's a tall man wearing an old, weathered black suit that looks like it's been, well, buried and dug back up.
So Mike's flashlight beam hits this figure dead on. But the man's face is completely obscured by the darkness of the woods. He has no eyes.
No.
He has no discernible expression at all. There is absolutely nothing human to read on this face. There's only just this terrifying blankness. Until you see it.
Yeah.
The one feature he does have, an impossibly wide grin. A smile stretching almost from ear to ear, completely defying the anatomical limits of a human skull.
It's an image designed to trigger every primal alarm bell in the human nervous system.
Absolutely horrifying.
But Sarah, trying to break the suffocating tension, she actually nervously laughs.
Of course she does.
Yeah, she dismisses it out loud, saying it's got to be a local in a prank costume trying to mess with the tourists.
And how does the man react?
In response to her laugh, the tall man slowly tilts his head and smiles even wider.
Wait, hold on. Stop right there. The forest is dead silent. There's a faceless guy in a riding suit grinning at them. And Mike looks at this terrifying, impossible figure and he smiles back.
He does.
I have to admit, when I first read this part of the source text, I actually rolled my eyes. I was so frustrated.
He feels like a cliche, right?
It feels like such a cheap, dumb horror movie trope where the teenager does the absolute stupidest thing possible.
I thought the exact same thing initially. It sounds ridiculous on paper. But look closer at the psychology here. Why would someone smile at a threat?
Well, it isn't bravery.
No, and it's not stupidity either. It is a deeply ingrained human appeasement reflex.
Right, the primate biology of it.
Exactly. When certain primates bare their teeth in a specific, exaggerated way, it's not a threat display. It's a submission signal.
Like saying, I am smaller than you.
Right. I am not a danger to you. Please do not attack me. Humans have evolved that exact biological mechanism into the social smile to break tension and de-escalate danger.
So it's involuntary.
Completely. When Mike smiles, he isn't trying to be friendly. His nervous system has taken over, and his body is reflexively begging for its life. See, that reframes the entire story for me. This curse is perfectly, diabolically designed. It weaponizes our most basic, hardwired biological instinct against us.
That's the real horror of it.
The monster doesn't have to possess super strength to break down your physical defenses. It uses your own neurological politeness as the key to get inside.
And that biological trap allows the entity to bypass the woods completely. The narrative immediately transitions from this ancient, eerie forest encounter into an inescapable, deeply intimate haunting.
Because the tall man vanishes, right?
Yeah, he doesn't run away, he just ceases to be there. But the curse has already attached itself.
And they head back to the cabin.
Right. That night, after the group frantically retreats to their rented cabin, Mike is plagued by intense paranoia. Every time he looks in a bathroom mirror or a dark window pane, he sees a figure standing right behind his shoulder.
That's awful.
But when he turns around, the room is completely empty.
And this all peaks at exactly 3:13 a.m. Think about your safest, most private space, listener. Your bedroom in the middle of the night, doors locked. Your sanctuary.
Right. At 3:13 a.m., Mike's phone camera turns on all by itself. He looks at the glowing screen in the dark, and standing right behind him in the digital reflection is the smiling man.
Right inside the room.
Mike spins around. The room is totally empty, but the phone screen still shows the man standing there, grinning. And then the phone speaker actually whispers, "You smiled first."
Just chillin'.
And then the screen goes dead black.
This violates our modern concept of a digital safe space. The terror isn't contained out in the wild woods anymore. It has infected his technology.
Yeah, we use our phones as extensions of our eyes to feel secure.
Exactly, to monitor our surroundings.
Yeah.
The entity turns that completely upside down. It bypasses the physical walls of the cabin and enters his safest space through the exact device he relied on for protection.
And it culminates in this impossible locked room mystery. The next morning, the crew wakes up and Mike is completely gone.
Just vanish.
His bedroom door is still dead bolted from the inside. There's no sign of forced entry, no broken windows.
None.
The only evidence left behind in the entire room is a single muddy footprint on the floorboards and a roughly carved wooden smile resting perfectly on Mike's pillow.
So desperate for any kind of explanation, Ethan, Sarah, and Lucas seek out the oldest resident of Black Hollow, a 92-year-old woman named Martha Jenkins.
Because they know she holds the town's history.
Right. But Martha is absolutely terrified. She refuses to even let them into her living room until every single mirror, picture frame, and reflective surface in her house is covered up with heavy cloth.
Wow.
Only when the house is completely matte and reflection-free does she reveal the historical origin of what they dragged down from the mountain.
So what's the story behind Grinning Jack?
According to the local folklore, this nightmare goes back over 2 centuries. A traveling preacher vanished in these very mountains during a harsh winter.
A traveling preacher.
Yeah, he was an outsider, someone trying to bring his own brand of salvation to a fiercely isolated mining community. When the local villagers finally tracked him down weeks later, he was standing in the woods, alive, but changed.
Changed how?
The mountain itself had cursed him. His mouth had been physically, violently ripped into an impossibly wide, permanent smile.
You know, it makes sense that an Appalachian myth from the 1800s would center on a traveling preacher.
How do you mean?
Historically, these mountain communities were incredibly isolated. The fear of outsiders coming in to change their way of life was palpable.
Oh, for sure.
So the mountain taking an outsider, twisting his features into a grotesque mockery of a friendly smile, and turning him into a permanent predator. It's the ultimate manifestation of xenophobia and isolationism.
That's a great sociological read on it. And Martha explains the exact mechanics of how Grinning Jack hunts. He doesn't just kill his victims.
What does he do?
He steals their identity, and he does it in a very specific sequence. First, he appears in your reflections, bridging the gap between his world and ours.
Okay.
Then, he starts infiltrating your physical photographs. And finally, once the physical evidence is compromised, he begins erasing you from the neurological memories of everyone who has ever known you.
Oh man, that detail about Martha covering her mirrors is brilliant though. I kept thinking of like an analog firewall.
Firewall.
Yeah. In modern computer networking, if a hacker is using a specific port to breach your system, you close the port. You air-gap the machine to cut off external access.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Historically, mirrors were viewed in folklore as literal windows to the soul or portals to the spirit realm. If this entity uses reflections to hack into physical reality, throwing a sheet over the mirrors is basically a 200-year-old cybersecurity tactic.
Right, it physically severs the connection.
Exactly.
The problem is, Ethan and his friends are already infected with this supernatural virus. When Ethan and Sarah rush back to the forest in broad daylight, hoping to find Mike's body, they stumble into something infinitely worse.
Out in the woods.
Yes. Hidden deep in a ravine, they find a graveyard of memories. There are dozens of rotting, rusted cameras spanning decades, and literally thousands of scattered photographs.
Yeah.
Thousands! Every single picture shows a different missing hiker, and in every photo, they are standing right beside the smiling man in the black suit.
It's a monument to the erased.
It really is.
And then Ethan finds a Polaroid taken just yesterday, a photo of their own group standing at the trailhead. But when he looks closely, the photo only shows 3 people.
Just 3.
Ethan, Sarah, and Lucas. Mike has been entirely seamlessly erased from the image. The spacing isn't even weird. It looks like he never existed at all.
This is the mechanism of the erasure at work. The curse operates like a retroactive computer virus. It doesn't just kill Mike in the present, it travels backward through his timeline.
Like unwriting him.
Exactly. It consumes the physical anchors first, the photographs, the tangible proof he was there. Once those physical anchors are destroyed, it moves on to the final stage, the neurological anchors.
And that leads to the most chilling moment. Sarah looks at this photograph. A picture she physically posed for 24 hours ago that should have 4 people in it. She looks up at Ethan, her face completely blank with genuine confusion, and asks, "Who's Mike?"
And Ethan has to stand there and watch the unmaking happen in real time.
It brings up this really disturbing philosophical question. Is dying the worst possible outcome for a human being?
We usually think it is.
We always assume that physical death is the ultimate fear. But the psychological terror presented in this folklore suggests something far darker. I think about the real-world tragedy of diseases like Alzheimer's.
Right, the loss of self.
The horror isn't just the physical decline. The true devastating horror is the loss of memory, the loss of shared history. Being completely erased, having your entire existence wiped from the minds of the people standing right next to you, that is infinitely worse than dying.
Because you aren't just dead, you are unmade. You never were.
And that realization just shatters Ethan.
It does. He freezes in absolute horror as he realizes Sarah's memory is completely gone. And as he stares at her, helpless and terrified,
Oh no.
Sarah's face begins to physically change.
Just standing right there.
Just standing there. Her muscles start pulling.
Fighting against her.
Exactly. Unwillingly, wider and wider, fighting the muscles of her own face, her eyes just wide with panic as her jaw forms.
Forms the smile.
Yes, that exact same impossible smile.
It's a chain reaction of absolute erasure. She smiled at the entity back in the woods when she nervously laughed. And now the curse is collecting its debt.
It always collects.
Which leads us to the grim conclusion of our deep dive today. The authorities eventually find Ethan's dropped camera in the woods 3 days later. Ethan, Sarah, Mike, and Lucas are entirely gone.
And the final recording on the tape doesn't show any monsters.
It just shows the empty, silent trees. It captures the sound of the wind returning to the forest. And then a final chilling whisper speaks directly into the microphone. You smiled too.
The legend persists today, right now. Visitors who ignore the warnings and hike Raven Ridge still occasionally report seeing a tall, motionless stranger in an old black suit.
Just waiting.
Just standing perfectly still among the shifting shadows of the trees. He never speaks. He never moves toward you. He never hunts. He simply waits.
So I'm going to leave you with a very direct warning. If you are ever hiking in the deep woods and the wind suddenly dies, if the insects go completely quiet and the shadows seem to freeze around you,
listen to your instincts.
And if you see a figure standing perfectly still in the darkness, whatever you do, keep your face entirely blank. Do not engage.
Don't do it.
Do not let your deeply ingrained social reflexes take over. Because if you return that smile, you become a permanent part of his collection.
It forces us to rethink everything we know about self-preservation. We spend our entire lives building social connections, smiling to signal peace, appeasement, and safety.
But in Black Hollow, that very signal is the trigger.
Right, and it leaves you with one final, lingering thought to mull over the next time you find yourself entirely alone in the dark.
What's that?
Some legends don't chase you, they just wait for you to notice them.